Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to be looking at some Raiders minicamp cut and trade candidates. And the reason why I wanted to go ahead and make this show is because a lot of times I get asked, hey, Mitch, could the Raiders do anything this offseason? And I think they might go ahead and make a move, but I think it could happen after minicamp. So in terms of right now, the Raiders, third most salary cap space in the NFL at the time I am recording this video with 22.5. The Raiders technically have 91 players on their roster, but they will go ahead and they will cut somebody to get down to 90. Mandatory minicamp is from June 7th to June 9th. I am a big believer that the Raiders are going to look at the talent, 7th, 8th, and 9th, those 3 days, and then afterwards, they might go ahead and they might sign somebody. So, what do you guys think here? If you think that the Raiders should go out and sign a big-name free agent, maybe a Ndamukong Suh, Janoris Jenkins, a Darrell Williams, an OBJ, then like this video right now because I would like the video. I love the Raiders roster right now, offense and defense. It's good. But I want great. I want a commitment to excellence, and I believe in order for that to happen, there are still some holes that need to be filled. Giggity. So seriously, go ahead, like this video right now. My top free agent targets, as it stands, Darrell Williams, Odell Beckham Jr., Anthony Barr. I rank these based on overall talent and overall, we'll say, needs and fit with the Raiders team from top to bottom, offense and defense. Chris Harris Jr., Jack Rabbit Jenkins, and Ndamukong Suh, Trey Flowers, Jamie Collins, Cole Beasley, A.J. Johnson. If the Raiders want to go out and get any of these players here, you have to either trade, you have to either cut some people, and that's what you're going to see on today's show. So I got 10 players, and I am going to go in a order from how much money the Raiders save by either cutting or trading a player. I also will mention that not every single player on this list, I believe, is a trade candidate. I also don't think that every single player on this list is a cut candidate. So I will tell you what I think will happen, either trade or cut. The first player, no surprise, it's Clelin Ferrell, and this is not somebody who I believe the Raiders end up cutting. Why? Because if you cut him, you save $0 million, and you eat $9.98 million, so you might as well keep him on the team. Traded, though, is where I think this route happens if it does ultimately end up going down. When the Raiders declined his fifth-year option, you knew, okay, they're kind of done with him. They're going to throw him out to outside linebacker. If the Raiders decide to trade Clelin Ferrell, it saves the Silver and Black $4.77 million this upcoming season. Sure, you're eating $5.21, but you know what? That extra $4.77 million, if I could use that and go out and get one of those top free agents that I just showed you, I would do it. And yes, last season was a struggle. I will say 2020 was by far his best season ever, but I don't think he's athletic enough to play edge. He's not big enough to play defensive tackle in Graham's system. So if you could trade him, I would take a 5th, 6th round pick for Clelin Ferrell. Let's go to the next player here. And I do not want the Raiders to cut or trade Denzelle Good. The reason why I'm going to bring him up is because if the Raiders are, which I've been told they do like John Simpson a lot, at least this new regime does, and the Raiders want to maybe use Andre James as a guard, maybe they decide to throw Dylan Parham in at center, where does that exactly leave Denzelle? I know this regime also loves Jermaine Illuminor. So if you plan on having Denzelle Good as a backup, would you just consider him at saying, okay, we can cut him, save $3.71 million. If the Raiders put him as a starter, then of course you don't make this move. But he's coming off an ACL injury. He has no really prior commitments with this new regime, and this new regime went ahead and they added a lot, and I mean a lot, of interior offensive line talent this offseason. So to make sure you guys never miss anything, because if the Raiders make a trade, they make a cut, I'm going to make a video about it. And if it's a big enough deal, like if Clelin Ferrell got traded, I'd probably go live for it. I'm just being 100% honest with y'all. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and the Raiders Report is 100% free. So you literally have nothing to lose. Nothing whatsoever. Seriously, hit that sub button. Let's go to the next player here on my Raiders Report. Cut and trade candidates after minicamp. It's Dallin Leavitt. And I'm a big fan of Dallin because he plays a gunner position as a special teamer, which doesn't get a lot of love. And I know the Patriots in the past loved good special teams players, so you bring that regime in, so why not love Dallin Leavitt? It's kind of just comes down to money. Leavitt's going to make $2.43 million this upcoming season, and if you cut or trade him, guess what? You save his entire contract. The fact that he is buried on the special teams depth chart. I personally like Roderick Teamer more. I like Tyree Gillespie more than Leavitt. It's just, are you going to pay a player who I would say's biggest impact for you this season is going to be your sixth safety? Sure, good special teams player, but if $2.43 million helps me go out and get some of those other big-name free agents that I just showed you, I would do it. Why? Because I know the Raiders are more than likely going to run a lot of different looks. Leavitt is a good run stopper, not so great in the pass game. Yes, he's been on this team for a while, but at $2.43 million, I personally believe that you can invest that money in a better way. The next name on this list is going to be the biggest name that you see on here, and it's Josh Jacobs. And the reason why Jacobs makes this list is because he missed the first 2 weeks of OTAs, and he didn't practice on Tuesday, the first day of Raiders mandatory minicamp. If traded, the Raiders save $2.12 million in 2022. Yes, you're going to eat a $1.7 million cap hit. The fact that the Raiders have declined his fifth-year option, the fact that Josh hasn't been showing up. He was in the building on Tuesday, but there is a little bit of smoke to this fire here, which pains my heart. So you decline his fifth-year option. He's had injury issues in the past. The Raiders went ahead, they drafted a running back in the 4th round, and they drafted a running back in the 7th round. They've added a lot of running backs in the free agent market. They restructured Kenyon Drake's contract. All I'm saying is this: I do not want the Raiders to trade Josh. But what if Josh wants out? What if Josh is looking at the wall and saying, well, I want a new deal. I don't want to be playing when I have to go out there and risk my body, a body that's already been badly injured since he's essentially come into the NFL, missing a few games, never 100% healthy. What if his agent's telling him, hey, if they're not going to commit to you long term, then go out of there? I don't want it to happen, but if I'm being realistic, I have to put him on this show right here. So we are talking about minicamp and over on Locals, which if you guys haven't already, go check out what I'm doing over on Locals. I'm able to get in contact with the people over there a lot easier. It's a lot more intimate, and the shows I do think are a little bit more of what Locals supporters are looking for. So if you want to see some of the top 12 Raiders minicamp battles, it's on there. If you want me to do the top 10 players on the Raiders right now, it's a live chat over there, and it's live, it's lit, it's a good time. Go to RaidersReport.locals.com. Go ahead, scan this QR code right here. Seriously, scan it. Become a supporter. $10 a month, $100 for the year. You get 2 months for free. If you're a diehard fan, I promise you, you're going to love Locals. So we go from one first-round pick to another first-round pick, and it's Johnathan Abram. And here's another player that I do not want the Raiders to trade. I do not want the Raiders to cut. But if Abram is cut, the Raiders save $747,000, and it's a $2.9 million dead cap hit. It's why I do not see the Raiders moving on from Abram via cut. If there is a team out there that's like, you know what, we can use him, and the Raiders can save $2.06 million, then sure. The other reason why I'm putting him on this list is because one of the things Josh McDaniels said on Tuesday is they're going to use players, and they're going to try to put them in situations just to kind of see how they handle it. If Abram, who's been playing a lot of high safety next to Trevon Merrick in terms of trying to see can he cover in this system, if after 3 days all the coaches look around and they're like, I don't know how we're going to use this guy. He's not good enough to cover in our system. What do we do necessarily? Maybe they decide to move on from him then. He is coming off a year where he had 116 tackles, but you got to be able to face the facts. This Raiders defense was better without Johnathan Abram last season. I love his energy. I love his tenacity. He's going to be a hell of a special teams player wherever he goes next. But you know what? He has to make the list. It sucks, but he has to make the list. So if you were to talk about our last 2 first-rounders, okay, let's say you could only pick one to keep. Would it be Josh Jacobs? Or would it be Johnathan Abram? And I believe I know what route y'all are going to go. I personally would spam JJ, but I know there's some people out there that probably think, and I agree, that running back is easier to replace than safety, which you're not wrong. I do think that running back is easier to replace than safety. However, Josh is a bigger factor and a better contributor to this Raiders team. So for that reason, I'll go ahead and I'll type JJ. The next player coming up here is somebody who I've been watching very, very closely at Raiders minicamp, and it is Andre James, offensive lineman, center for the Silver and Black. If James is cut this season, you save $100,000. So personally, I don't think it makes any sense to cut him this season. However, if Dylan Parham outright beats Andre James. And this Raiders regime, who I have been told is a little bit worried about his size and arm length and his ability to pick up the new scheme, if they are worried about that, and there's a team out there that says, you know what, we'll trade a pick or whatever for James, you can save $1.1 million, there's a chance that this Raiders team could go ahead and look into it. If that's not the case, and I truly, truly believe James will be on the Raiders this upcoming season because Carmen Vasillo, Josh McDaniels, they want to have plenty of depth at the offensive line category. I will bring this up, though. Andre James is absolutely a candidate to get cut next offseason because the Raiders save $5 million. The next name, and these are some of the minor names coming up here on the show because earlier I said the Raiders were at 90 players on the roster, okay? If the Raiders wanted to move on from a minor player, these next few names are more than likely what would end up happening. Kyle Peko. I respect Peko. He's been on a bunch of different teams. He's going to make $1.04 million this upcoming season. And if you move on from him, you save $945K. The Raiders added Clelin Ferrell Jr. They added Matthew Butler in the draft. They have 10 total defensive tackles on the roster right now. The reason why that I personally would keep somebody like what's his name? Myron Tagovailoa-Amosa, the defensive tackle from Notre Dame, is because it's year one for him. I would rather take a project on a player like that than somebody who's a little bit older, a little bit more of a veteran like Kyle Peko. I respect him, but he could be a dude where if I needed to create an extra roster spot, he could be a guy on his way out. So get your votes in right now, y'all. Name a player the Raiders could cut after minicamp. I believe that this team is going to do their due diligence. I believe they're going to take their time and make sure that they are doing all the right things, offense and defense. But if there is a position, if there is a player that they are not confident in, I do know that the Raiders have been very aggressive this offseason. There's some good free agents out there still. So all I'm saying is buckle up. Next name on the list is Malcolm Koonce, selected in round 3, pick 79 in the 2021 draft. If cut or traded, so either one, the Raiders save $887K, and it's $249,000 of a dead cap hit. He played in only 5 games last season, sitting behind Carl Nassib. I know this Raiders regime last year, they really tried to mix it up, and I don't have a great reason why Koonce didn't get on the field. Personally, I thought when he was out there, looked pretty good. 5 games, 2 sacks. He's somebody that I want the Raiders to be able to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. However, when you look at the outside linebackers on this team, Koonce and Ferrell are kind of in this same regime where I don't know if they're athletic enough to be just pure edge rushers. They're not really big enough to be defensive ends. They're not really big enough to play on the interior. So you get put in this purgatory style of a system where I don't know what the fit is. And for a team that's like, all right, I don't know how we're going to use Malcolm Koonce, I bet you there's a team out there that would be willing to give you a draft pick. And if that's the case, then sure, go ahead and do it. I hope, though, the Raiders can find a place for Malcolm Koonce because I did like him when he came out of Buffalo. Now, I'm not going to be eating any Buffalo wings, but we are going to have some burgers here. And the burger's got a little bit of kick to it. I'm taking on Johnathan Hankins this Saturday, June 11th from 1 to 4 p.m. in Las Vegas. The event is for charity. It goes to the Just One Project, so ticket price is $20. It's going to be first come, first serve, so you better go ahead and get your tickets right now, chatsports.com/burgers. If you want to meet Johnathan Hankins, Bilal Nichols, Andre James, Clelin Ferrell Jr., Jalen Richard, Kendall Vickers, and I was told that there is a chance that Chandler Jones, Nate Hobbs, and Johnathan Abram could be in attendance. So if you want to meet those guys as well, you got to scan this QR code. You got to get your tickets right now. It's going to be an awesome, awesome event for a charity, and there's going to be raffles. There's going to be a whole bunch of giveaways. Really cool event if you're a diehard Raiders fan. So seriously, spread the word. I would appreciate it. Let's go to the next name here, and it's Dillon Stoner. And I know, the last name, it says it all. That's probably what I'd have to do to take down this freaking burger that I'm going to try to take down. But anyway, Stoner's on this list because he's going to make $825,000 this season. If you cut him, you save his entire contract. We just got to face the facts. I mean, he was a fun name for preseason. He was a cool UDFA signing last year. But this new, regime with McDaniels, I don't know why they would keep him. And there's a lot of other wide receivers on this list. But when you look at the entire team, from top to bottom, he's probably the 10th receiver on the list. If you need to create some space to go out and add another player, then yeah, Dillon Stoner you get cut. The final name coming up here it's Robertson, and if you cut him, you save $771,000. Robertson has essentially struggled since he's come out of Louisiana Tech, 4th round, 137th overall pick. He's small. I actually really liked him when he first came out of college, and I will give him the benefit of the doubt because since he's been in the NFL, it hasn't been easy. He's had to deal with Paul Gunther. He's had to deal with COVID. He's had to deal with a brand new regime again, and now he's got to deal with a new defensive system that he has to learn. That's not easy for any player. I look at the talent, and I see talent. However, if you're the Raiders and your new coaching staff, you're bringing in all these defensive backs, and one of the things that McDaniels has always said, they want to make sure they have depth at DB. That probably means that they don't have 100% confidence in the DBs already on the roster. Amik is small, he's quick, he's twitchy, but even when he has been on the field, it has not been good thus far. So this, y'all, is the time of the year that you got to follow me on Instagram. You got to follow me on Twitter. I see Jeremy Chugs in the background. I don't know if he's trying to give me a sign or if he's just really pumped up to see me. So either way, though, follow me. I promise you I will keep you up to date on everything going on around the Raiders. And who knows, you might even see some random videos of guys like Sam, Jeremy. I don't know if Tom will chug a beer, but I know I will definitely this offseason. So one more time, y'all, we're going to hit these real quick. Minicamp trade and cut candidates. And the reason why I made this video is because it's minicamp time. And the Raiders, they have a lot of money. They could potentially go out and sign some players. And if they need to do that, you could see a trade. You could see a cut end up going down. I'm just ultimately looking at the players that you see on screen right now just a little bit more closely. If you made it this far in the video, hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications because if a trade or cut does go down, you're going to see a video on the channel.